channel. I'm so glad that you're here. Today we are doing a reading wrap up of all of the books that I have read in July. I'm feeling so happy about this wrap up because this is the most books I have ever read in a month, and I actually beat my goal by one book. So I'm feeling so proud of that. If you want to follow me on Goodreads, I'll put it right here, and I'll also put my Instagram right here in case you guys want to keep up with me anywhere else on the internet. I read 8 books this month. I'm so excited to share with you all of the books that I read. I've got the physical copy of some, and then a lot of the others I actually read on my Kindles. The first book is The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walter. I have heard so many incredible things about this book. It is seriously such a fun summer romance. This is about Meredith. Her and her family go to Martha's Vineyard every single year until a couple of years ago when her sister passed away. This is their first year going back. They're actually going for her cousin's wedding, and so there's going to be the groom's family, her family, the groom's friends, the bride's friends. Her and her family, they play this game of assassins, and it's like a huge game that takes place over all of Martha's Vineyard. They play this game but with everyone that is there for the wedding. So she forms an alliance with one of the cute groomsmen. Feelings start forming for each other, but also they're trying to beat each other. So it's really cute, and also she wants to win for her sister and like honor her sister's legacy. I actually loved K.L. Walter's writing so much that I went out and bought What Happens After Midnight. I've still yet to read it, but first of all, the covers are so cute, but the books themselves, the content inside is so good. I absolutely love this book. I would so recommend it. I think I would say maybe 4 stars because it was really cute. The next book that I read is Love Theoretically by Hazelwood. This is her new book. I love The Love Hypothesis, so it was truly a no-brainer for me to go pick this one up immediately. The Love Hypothesis was a 5 stars for me. That's one of my favorite books ever. So I was going into Love Theoretically not comparing it to The Love Hypothesis. Reading this, I loved Elsie and Jack. I loved their story, but I felt like right from the beginning, it felt really easy for them. That's one reason why I loved The Love Hypothesis, because it felt like things were seriously like a roller coaster. Things were just so up and down, up and down. Because of Hazelwood, I love academia romances. I love these STEM romance books. I think they're really fun, and it also kind of introduces me into a new world of STEM and like what goes on in the STEM world. Elsie and Jack, I don't know. I loved them together. I loved their characters. But as far as the plot goes, I feel like the character work, it was there, but the plot for me wasn't anything like too extraordinary. So I think I gave this one 4 stars because I did really enjoy it. But I mean, reading it all the way through, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, that was crazy, or like, it was just a fun read. And at first I thought she was going to recycle something that happens in The Love Hypothesis, and I'm glad that she didn't, because I think that would have brought down my review. But she was very creative in the 3rd act conflict. Oh my gosh, I feel like this next one, you guys are going to be so happy. I finally have read the book that so many people have been begging me to read, and I've been wanting to read it so bad. I just haven't picked it up. Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I finally read this one, and oh my gosh, I kind of listened to the audiobook like all throughout the month. So it took me like technically half the month to read it, because every time I was busy doing something, I would just listen to the audiobook, which I think I would have liked it more if I wouldn't have done it that way. So I'm definitely going to reread this because I want to read it myself. Like, listening to the audiobook, I feel like I could have missed some things. So this is the sequel to the first book, 6 of Crows. In the sequel, I don't want to get into it too much because it'll definitely spoil things from the first book. If you guys have read the first book or you've read this one, you already know how the first one ends. It's crazy. The first book is a heist story. You're basically seeing how this crew is getting together in the first book and trying to execute a heist. It's so good. You're dealing with a lot of enemies in the second one, and you're dealing with enemies that are geographically all over the place and not just in this country. So it was so good. Like, people are coming back to reclaim what was theirs, and it is so good. Also, it was so fast paced, and like, it seriously had my heart racing, especially during the last little bit of the book. I was like, literally on the edge of my seat. It was so good. I liked how everything wrapped up, but it also was so bittersweet. I really don't want this to end. I love these characters so much. They all individually are strong characters and they all bring something so special to the plot. It was so good. I think that's why I put it off for so long, because I didn't want it all to end. I would give this one, honestly, I think 5 stars. It was just so good. The next book that I have is Once Upon a Broken Heart. This is by Stephanie Garber. I finally read this book. If you guys watched my letting booktubers pick what I read for a week, this is what Haley recommended to me. It seriously lived up to its hype. It was so good. I love this world with all of my heart. This book was just a fairy tale. It was so magical and so beautiful. This is about Evangeline Fox. Her love of her life is getting married to another woman. And so in desperation, she goes to the immortal Prince of Hearts and begs him to help her stop the wedding. They strike up a deal together, which if you've read like any fantasy fairy tale book ever, that's never a good idea. Anyway, she has to do stuff in return for him that she really does not want to do. And it is so good. Like, it is so much deeper than that is seriously the vaguest description ever. Like, it goes so much more deeper. The way that the story ends, I was just thinking it feels like the beginning. I'm excited to read the sequel and then eventually in the fall, the 3rd book. I'm so excited, it's so good. I gave this one 4 stars, but I think after thinking about it some more, it would be like maybe 4.25. Okay, next I have Rock, Paper, Scissors. This is the book that Sarah recommended for me in the Letting Booktubers Pick What I Read for a Week video. And this is my first thriller that I've ever read. This is about a couple who has won a weekend getaway to a remodeled chapel in basically the middle of nowhere. Yeah, this trip is going to basically make or break their relationship. It's going to determine if they're going to stay together or get divorced. It's kind of like their last shot. But one of them is lying and they didn't secretly win this trip. And so a lot of things come out about each other. It's really creepy. This was so good. I feel like it was seriously the perfect introduction into thrillers. It was so good. It wasn't too spooky. So if you are going to get in thrillers as well, but you're also a baby, it's not scary. It's just more like disturbing, but not too bad. It was just such a wild ride and it is so fast paced. I'm not even kidding you. It's so easy to read. This book made me feel so deceived. If you're looking for a fun thriller, I would recommend this for sure. It's just a twisty thriller. This was very suspenseful. I would give it 4 stars. And now it's kind of launched this whole thriller era for me. I'm really into thrillers now. I'm actually filming a fun thrillers video this week, so stay tuned for that. Hi, Mishak. Hi, baby. He's like, no, I'm done with you. Okay, these next books I actually read on my Kindle. So the first one is Finley Donovan is Killing It. I think so far this is like a 5-star series for me. It is so good. In letting booktubers pick what I read for a week, this was Faith's recommendation for me. So I think I gave it like 4.5 stars. Honestly, I would say it's either 4.5 or it's 5 stars. It was so good. It's a mystery. It's a comedic mystery, which I didn't even know was a thing. And it really reminds me of the Netflix show Good Girls. Ian and I loved that show a few years ago. I could just see similarities between the two. Makes sense why I loved this book. This book is about Finley Donovan, the main character. She is an author and she's also a struggling single mom. And so she goes to lunch with her agent one day and she's discussing the plot for her new novel, and someone overhears her talking and thinks that she's a contract killer. And so she hires her to get rid of her husband. It is so interesting because you see how the main character is like panicking because she's like, oh my gosh, like I'm not a contract killer. Why would she think this? And then she's offered a lot of money. I think I would lock in my rating still for 4.5 or 5 stars. It's somewhere in between there and I can't decide because it was so good and the characters are top notch. Because of that, I hopped into the sequel, and that's the next book that I read this month. It's Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead. One of the things that I have noticed about this author is she kind of holds out on you for the first 100 pages. Things are a little bit slower and then she really ramps things up. after 100 pages basically to the end, and her endings are unreal. Now I just know the meat is in her epilogues. The way she just pieces things together, and with her writing, I can never guess who is guilty for what. This was such a quick read. I loved the second one so much, but I'm still racking my brain because I haven't read the third one yet. And there's something that Vero says that I cannot stop thinking about, and it is not discussed afterwards. We can't just breeze over that. And so I still have so many questions regarding that. I'm just hoping that it's discussed in the third book. That's all I'm saying. I feel like it'd be like maybe 4.5 stars. Yeah, I feel like 4.5. I really loved it. The last book that I read this month was Flawless. Well, it wasn't the last book that I read, but the last book of this video. This is by Elsie Silver. This was recommended to me by JB in my Letting Booktubers Pick What I Read for a Week video. Hi, buddy. Hi. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is the first book of the Chestnut Springs series. This is huge. On Bookstagram, Book Talk, Booktube, like it is a huge romance series. I was worried about how spicy it was going to be. I know that that one isn't the favorite of the series. A lot of people like some of the later books. So I will probably give the other ones a shot eventually. I liked the main character, Summer. Felt like she was very strong-willed. And then Rhett, the love interest, I did not like. He's still not as bad as Knox for me. He just said a lot of things that were like creepy or weird. This is a Forks proximity trope. Summer's dad, he basically owns this agency, and one of their clients is a bull rider. His name's Rhett. And he gets himself into some hot water, and so their whole purpose is to do damage control. Summer has to basically go babysit Rhett and make sure that he doesn't get into any more trouble. So you have this city girl, country boy romance, which I enjoyed. I thought that was really cute, but I love characters. I love characters that have depth and layers. If I don't like a character, it's really, really hard for me to enjoy the book. I just really didn't like Rhett, but I like some of the other side characters in the story. And so for that reason, I really want to read the other books because some of them are about those characters and I want to see their story and how they find love. I feel like this would be, I think, a 3.5 for me. I kept reading it. Like, it was easy to keep reading and keep going and kind of breeze through, so it didn't put me into a slump. Those are all of the books that I read in the month of July. I've just been feeling so guilty as July has been ending because of my last TBR jar. I only read like one book on my TBR. I thought Crooked Kingdom. I thought Mishak chose it. And if you go back and look at that video, you'll see that I'm actually holding it in the video. I don't know why. I thought it was one that he picked. So I thought I read 2 off of the TBR, but I only read 1. I don't want you guys to feel as though I am just putting out the TBR video and not following it or not even trying to. I love doing the TBR videos. They're so fun. I just honestly wasn't feeling more summer books. I kind of think I read so many in May and June that now for July, I kind of started out reading some summer books, but it kind of burnt me out a little bit. So in August, I'm going to just, if I want to pick up a summer book, I will, but I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, which is all from me. Like, I'm putting the pressure on myself to read summer books because it's summer. I hope that explains some things. I'm going back and forth on uploading another TBR video for August, and I was like, well, I don't know if they'll want to see it, because I didn't really follow July all that well. I only read like 1 or 2 books off of that one. But I think I'm still gonna do one because they're really, really fun and I really enjoy them. But please let me know if you wanna see the TBR jar video. I love you guys so much and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!